Inglise is an ugly, disgusting old geezer king that was about to kick the bucket. However, the goddess Alice just shows up to grant him one last wish. He wants to be born again so he can use his new life to become the strongest swordsman. In this current life, he had to take care of the plebs as a king and didn't have enough time to beat some noobs. After many centuries, he is reborn as a baby, keeping the same name. However, when he gazes into the mirror, he can't believe that he's now a girl. In this world, Aetha is the origin of all things. Manipulating Aetha is like having the power of gods. Inglise then starts focusing on her inner Aetha and starts to float. Inglise explains that in her past life, she only learned the basics of Aetha. Since being reborn, she hasn't seen anyone else manipulate it. Suddenly, a man shouts about a magicite beast appearing, and everyone should take shelter in the castle. Inglise's mother Serena bursts into the room because they need to evacuate and sees Inglise floating. Inglise cries, and her mother brushes it off as her imagination. Serena picks up Inglise and comforts her, saying that her father and the others will handle the beast. Suddenly, the beast bursts through the wall of the room. The impact pushes Serena's sister, who was standing by the wall with her child. Serena rushes over to check on her sister, while her sister's son Raphael tries to face off against the beast with a sword in hand. The beast roars in his face, scaring him. Serena rushes in, handing the two babies, Inglise and Rafinha, to Raphael, telling him to run away with them. She takes the sword and decides to face the beast herself. Serena charges at the beast, telling Raphael to hurry and get out with the babies. She tries to fight the beast, but the sword does no damage. Raphael places Inglise and Rafinha behind a wall of furniture, telling them to stay there while he joins the fight. Inglise admires Raphael's courage as he faces the beast, saying a hero is earned through one's will and deeds. However, the beast uses its tail to destroy a pillar, and the impact sends Serena and Raphael crashing into the wall, knocking them unconscious. The beast approaches them, but Inglise crawls towards it to get its attention. She decides to live this life for herself and not be a hero. She mentions that she's just helping Raphael, who has the qualities of a hero. Inglise uses the Aetha power, charging up as the beast roars at her. She eliminates the beast with an Aetha strike, smiling at how powerful it is. 5 years later, Inglise has grown into a beautiful girl. She compliments herself in the mirror, imagining that she'll become a beautiful woman in the future. Her cousin, Rafinha, whom she nicknames Ronnie, has also grown. The soldiers are training on the field, and Ronnie tries to wield a wooden sword, but it's too heavy, and she falls. Inglise rushes to check if she's okay, but Ronnie is about to cry. Inglise motivates her to stand up and swing the sword like the others. Then we see Raphael, now 13 years old, training. Ronnie calls out to him, encouraging him, and Raphael defeats the person he's sparring with, winning the bout. For Raphael's next fight, Inglise approaches him, expressing her belief that it's better not to look at the opponent named Raul too much, as Raul always knows the right timing to confront his opponent. Their fight begins, and Raphael has the upper hand. However, he isn't paying attention to his surroundings and ends up bumping into the wall, allowing Raul to hit him and win the bout. Ronnie is sad, but Inglise comforts her and promises to get revenge for Raphael. She approaches Raul and challenges him. However, Raul dismisses her, saying she's too frail to be his sparring partner and should go play with her dolls. Still, Inglise approaches him. Raul activates magic to throw her off, but the Aetha in Inglise's body allows her to disperse it. Inglise is confident and decides to fight against him using just her swordsmanship from her past life, without using any magic. She decides to embarrass this kid by fighting with her eyes closed. Raul feels mocked and charges at her, but no matter where he tries to hit her from, she can detect him and block his attacks. She lands her attack, flooring him, and Raul admits defeat. With a cocky grin, Inglise thanks him for being her punching bag. Everyone is surprised, but Inglise still thinks that her skills are not good enough. A year later, Ronnie and Inglise are at the church for their baptism. This is a special ritual to get a rune and become a knight. Runes are a mark that allows people to control what they call artifacts. There are 4 ranks of runes: special, high, middle, and low. The stronger the rune, the stronger the artifact someone can control. Ronnie goes first, puts her hand in the baptism box, and gets the bow class rune, a high class one, making her parents super happy. Inglise congratulates her, saying she'll be an awesome knight. Now it's Inglise's turn. Raphael hopes she gets a special class rune. She puts her hand in the box, but when she pulls her hand out, they see nothing. Everyone is shocked because she doesn't have a rune. Inglise figured out that the box was made to convert mana into a rune. People nowadays don't know how to use mana, but this box allows them to use mana in the form of an artifact. She knows that she will be forced to become a knight by having a rune. So, Inglise decided to use the ether power to refuse the mana rune and became Ronnie's squire. 6 years later, Inglise and Ronnie are all grown up. Inglise talks about wanting to go on an expedition, but Ronnie thinks it's kind of scary. Inglise wishes for more rain to bring strong magicite beasts, or a prismer so she can practice her skills. Ronnie asks Inglise how, despite being so beautiful, and without a rune, she's still strong enough to defeat a magicite beast. Inglise says it's their secret. When the rain finally stops, the two girls are on top of the castle when a floating mass of earth called Highlander passes over them. This is the home to people known as Highlanders, and they make artifacts in baptismal boxes. They give them to the countries below so they can protect themselves from magicite beasts. In return, the lower land countries give them a lot of crops and materials. As the Highland floats by, Inglise wonders what happened to the kingdom she ruled in her past life. Later that night, they meet Leon. He explains that from the Highlanders' point of view, the lower lands are like an inferior race who can't protect their homes without the artifacts they provide. Inglise adds that it means they're the ones holding their lives. Leon agrees and tells Inglise to put on a smile in front of them. As Inglise and Ronnie head to the ballroom for the banquet, they chat about the upcoming visit of the Highlander accompanied by an inspector from the royal capital. Ronnie explains that it's an inspection that usually happens every 2 or 3 years, but this time, a Highlander is coming along. Inglise notes that the Highlanders may want to eliminate the royalty and rule over the people, but she brushes it off, saying it's an old habit from her past life to analyze people around her to know their true motives. They meet up with Ronnie's father, who introduces them to the royal inspector Shania. The ambassador from the Highlands is also introduced, and it turns out to be Rawl, surprising the girls. They pay their respects, but Inglise can't help but wonder how Rawl became the ambassador. Rawl already knows they are curious and proves it by showing the Highlander's mark on his forehead. Inglise asks if this means someone can become a Highlander without being born there, and Rawl says yes. If someone makes a significant contribution, they can be granted citizenship. Inglise is still confused and Rawl explains that he gave the Highlanders a whole lot of money, but he also needed connections to reach the upper Highlanders to make the deal. It was a price he didn't regret paying because a Highlander practically had more authority than any noble on the lower land. He adds that he heard Inglise was runeless and asks why she's still honing her skills. Leon wants to make things better, so he tells everyone to meet the special Lady Holy Knight, a Hyrule Menace. The Holy Knights known as Hyrule Menace can turn into artifacts. However, Inglise refuses because she knows Rawl wants revenge for what happened 6 years ago. She says she'll face him but asks him not to hurt Ronnie or the female knight. Rawl agrees and tells her to come alone to the house where he's staying that night. Later, Inglise goes to the villa and meets Eris, the Hyrule Menace. Eris tells her to run away because she's worried about Inglise because she's Raphael's cousin. Inglise refuses because she knows Rawl's personality is trash, and he might do something if she doesn't show up. Eris says she'll handle Rahai, but Inglise wants to know if Eris plans to assassinate him. Eris tells Inglise not to worry and go home, but Inglise refuses. Eris threatens to attack Inglise if she steps forward. Inglise starts laughing because she's excited that Eris is willing to fight her. Inglise thinks it's a good chance to test her skills. Eris is confused but tries a quick attack to make Inglise go home. Inglise blocks it and tosses Eris away. Eris attacks with her dagger, but Inglise dodges. Inglise happily dodges all of Eris's attacks, saying she didn't see this speed and agility in the knights. But she knows that Eris is holding back. They clash swords, and Eris asks why Inglise is so happy. Inglise says she loves fighting someone strong. They keep clashing swords, and Eris is puzzled because her attacks should be on par with Holy Knights, yet Inglise is blocking them without any rune or artifact. Inglise keeps attacking and tells Eris to get more serious. Eris is already serious, and her next attack breaks Inglise's sword in half. She goes for a final attack, but when she sees a cut on Inglise's arm, she stops and steps back. Inglise wants to keep fighting and prepares her mana. Eris asks if she's okay, and Inglise asks if she's not worthy to fight. Eris denies that, and Inglise, feeling she might have been caught, asks if Eris can sense mana. Eris is confused, saying people on the lower land shouldn't be able to sense mana. She then admits she can sense it to some extent. Inglise then drops her sword and starts invoking Aether and turns it into mana, creating a bright light that surprises Eris. Inglise figures if Eris can sense mana, she can witness her power. Eris asks how a runeless person like Inglise controls mana. Inglise says Eris doesn't have to hold back while fighting. Out of nowhere, a big lightning wave shoots past Inglise and smacks Eris into a tree. Eris figures out that Leon attacked her and asks him why. Leon shows up, admitting Eris caught on quickly. Inglise notices his two metal hands crackling with lightning. She wonders if that's his artifact. Eris asks if he's betraying them, and Leon says yes. Inglise thinks Leon might be doing it to stop them from killing Rawl and getting closer to the Highland. But Eris figures Leon wants to bring down the Highlanders. He wants to steal their tech and spread it on the lower land. Leon confirms it, saying that way they can protect themselves from magicite beasts without bowing down to Highlanders. Inglise asks why he's betraying them. Leon says the Highlanders have been inviting him for a while. Eris tells him he can't beat the Highland. He says that's why he wants her. He wants to research a Hyrule menace to help make lower land artifacts. Eris refuses, saying it'll harm people. Leon turns to Inglise, who also refuses and gets ready to fight him. Leon brings his hands together, creating a big area of lightning. Eris warns Inglise to be careful because Leon has high-class artifacts that summon lightning beasts. The beasts are formed, but they're hard to see. Inglise senses there are at least 30 of them. Leon tells 2 beasts to follow him, and the rest should attack Inglise. Inglise realizes that with Eris injured, Leon plans to keep her busy while he takes on Eris. One beast launches at her, but she dodges it while Eris hits the beast, causing a big light. Eris explains that a strong attack makes the beasts explode. Inglise asks Eris to use that move in their next fight, but Eris refuses, saying she's not a battle maniac like Inglise. Leon mocks Eris for using her special move to teach Inglise a lesson, as she can only use it a few times. Inglise wants to help Eris and decides to fight off the beasts in front of her. She empowers herself with ether, forming a shell on her body. She punches the lightning beasts, expelling them. Eris thinks Inglise hurt herself, but the explosion didn't harm her. Inglise keeps destroying the lightning beasts. She tells Eris that if she can't avoid the explosion, she just must make herself strong enough to be unaffected by it. Eris calls Inglise a fool, saying she was trying to teach her to use ranged attacks on the lightning beasts, not close combat. Inglise argues that her way is faster. She can do it because the ether condensed in her body forms a wave, easily nullifying the explosions. She finishes off the beasts and lands in front of Eris, apologizing for keeping them waiting. However, Leon sees through the flaw in Inglise's power. It doesn't last long due to her lack of endurance. Inglise is impressed by his deduction. Leon tells her it will turn into a contest of endurance as he charges up his arm with lightning. He tries to create more lighting beasts, but Inglise stops it by putting her foot between his hands. Leon backs away and starts running toward the villa, but Inglise is Sonic. She catches up, grabs him by the arm, and kicks him. Suddenly, Ronnie comes out screaming while jumping through the window because a magicite beast is chasing her. Leon smirks like he knows what is going to happen. The beast goes after Ronnie, but Inglise steps in and punches its hands. The beast experiences some explosions as it falls to the ground. However, it stands up again. Ronnie tells them the beast is Rawl. The magicite beast screams Inglise's name, surprising her. Leon steps in, saying he's the one who made Rawl turn into a magicite beast. Eris asks what he means. Leon shows them a vial called prism powder. This is made of concentrated prism flow he got from the Steelblood front, and it has a strong effect on Highlanders. Eris asks if there's a way to turn Rawl back, but Leon says there's no way because Rawl deserves to die. Leon then makes 2 of his lightning beasts explode, allowing him to escape. Ronnie asks why Leon betrayed them. Inglise promises to explain later, but now they have to face Rawl, who has gotten up and is calling out Inglise's name. Inglise thinks Rawl's in a miserable state, so she tells him she'll put him to rest without pain. Together, Inglise and Eris deliver a powerful kick to Rawl, sending him flying out of the castle walls. But he stands again, calling out to Inglise. Inglise jumps down and Eris is surprised as she sees Inglise building up a mysterious power. Inglise wants to repeat the ether strike she used when she was a baby to see if she became stronger. Inglise releases the ether strike, and with a bright flash of light, Rawl is disintegrated into ducking nothing. Inglise collapses to the ground right after. The next day, Eris tells Ronnie and Inglise that she will report that the whole incident was Leon's plan, and that he joined forces with the Steelblood front. However, Inglise asks a favor. She wants Eris to tell the council that it was Eris who defeated the magicite beast, not her. Eris is okay with it but says Inglise will owe her one, and Inglise can repay it next time. 3 years later, Ronnie and Inglise are doing their last training before heading to the Royal Knights Academy. Ronnie enhances her bow artifact with her rune and shoots a single arrow that expands to form many more arrows. Inglise does her best and dodges all of them as she runs towards Ronnie. Ronnie compliments Inglise for evading all her arrows, even though she doubled the number. Inglise also compliments Ronnie, saying her arrows are getting better. They then leave their hometown and head to the capital. They arrive at the Alaman Cathedral, where they see a prismer. Inglise is excited because it looks powerful. A prismer, it's a huge magicite beast covered in an ice crystal, but this one has been defeated. Ronnie explains that since no one was able to move it, they built the cathedral to watch over it. Inglise says that although frozen, she can feel the prismer's power, suggesting it might still be alive. A guard approaches them, and Ronnie, scaredy, tells him to not mind Inglise, as she's just weird. The guard warns them to stay in the cathedral as they have spotted many magicite beasts around. Inglise gets excited and rushes out to defeat the magicite beasts. She tells Ronnie to stay put and runs through the city. Inglise mentions that the magicite beasts are around because the prismer carcass is kept in the city. She reaches the town square and sees many knights fighting off all the magicite beasts. She's amazed by this sight when a magicite beast flies towards her. She prepares to attack when a girl runs past her and eliminates the beast with one strike. The girl named Leon scolds Inglise, saying going against magicite beasts without a rune or artifacts is like walking into one's death. But Inglise is impressed by Leon's movements and wonders who she is. She also notices the girl has a high-class rune. Inglise tries to tell her she will be fine on her own, but Leon interrupts, telling her to stay back as more magicite beasts are coming. Leon empowers her sword and eliminates the 3 beasts with a huge swing. Leon asks Inglise if she's okay when another magicite beast appears behind her. Inglise calls her attention to it. The beast almost hits her with the ice, but Leon is quick. She sticks her sword into the ground, enlarges it to block the attack, and then elongates the sword to attack the beast, but it flies away. Inglise offers to help. She jumps over Leon, using Leon's sword as a launching platform. In the air, she kicks the magicite beast into the ground, then tells Leon to go for the attack. Using her sword, Leon eliminates the falling beasts. Inglise continues kicking all the flying beasts into the ground, and Leon supports her by eliminating them with her sword. After getting rid of the beasts, they both praise each other's skills. Leon apologizes for jumping in to help, as Inglise didn't need it earlier. They introduce themselves, and Inglise, hearing Leon's name, tries to recall where she's heard her surname from. Leon offers her hand, saying it would be great if they worked together, and Inglise accepts the collaboration. They continue defeating magicite beasts, and Ronnie appears, shooting one of the beasts that almost attacked Leon from behind. She scolds Inglise for leaving her behind. After that, they can eliminate all the magicite beasts. Inglise introduces the two, and Leon thanks Ronnie for covering for her during the fight. Leon asks Ronnie if she's Raphael's sister. Ronnie asks if she knows her brother, and Leon says she owes him a lot. They are approached by a knight who thanks them for defending the city and offers rewards. Ronnie is excited, but the knight clarifies it's only for Ronnie and Inglise. They won't be giving any rewards to Leon, the traitor's sister. Ronnie defends Leon, saying she also fought with them, but Leon tells her to let it go. The knight explains that Leon is Leon's younger sister. The knights warn them not to stay around Leon as people will judge them together. However, Ronnie refuses the reward on behalf of the group. Their talk gets cut off when a flying motorbike lands nearby. The rider asks what's going on, and the knight tells Raphael not to worry because it's just the traitor's sister. Raphael asks the knight to stop calling Leon the traitor's sister since she helped them with the magicite beasts. Ronnie and Inglise stare at Raphael, and Ronnie, filled with excitement, runs to embrace her brother. Inglise greets Raphael, who is left speechless. He blushes as he says Inglise has become more beautiful. Let's not forget their cousins, Sweet Home Alabama. The girl with him named Ripple is from a beast race. She interrupts, saying it's rare for Raphael to compliment a girl, and teasing him for being quiet and unsociable. Raphael introduces Ripple to the girls, explaining that, like Eris, she's also a Hyrule menace. Inglise starts wondering if Ripple is strong enough to be her opponent. Ronnie asks Raphael why they came over and if they know Leon. Raphael confirms it. Back in the cathedral, the prismer is hooked with ropes connected to the flying motorbikes. The knights use the bikes to carry the prismer away from inside the cathedral. Raphael explains that they believe the frozen prismer is attracting magicite beasts, so they're moving it away to prevent magicite beasts from appearing in the city again. Raphael, Ripple, and the others leave on their flying bikes, while the girls stay on a flying ship that will take them to the capital. Seeing the prismer being taken away, Inglise wishes it wakes up soon so they can have an all-out fight. The flying ship takes them to the royal capital, and the day of their enrollment arrives. All the students are welcomed to the academy by the principal, a lady named Miriella with a shy personality. The girls are surprised that someone like Miriella is the principal. Miriella tells them they need to do some warm-ups. She raises her staff, and a sudden earthquake follows right after, turning the platform where the students are standing into an elevated one. Miriella tells them it's for a night course and they cannot use their artifacts. Miriella then raises her staff again, exerting gravity magic on the students. They can barely stand, and Miriella explains it's a gravity field created by her artifact. This is how they conduct combat training because she doesn't want to see her students fall on the battlefield. This will help them get in top shape to win every battle. Suddenly, 3 large mechanized bugs emerge from the platform, and Miriella explains it's a game of tag, ordering them to commence. Inglise withstands the gravity field and punches the 3 mechanized bugs out of the platform. The students are stunned, as well as the principal, but she claims that was just a demonstration. She revives the mechanized bugs again, and this time the bugs attack the students who are left screaming, some thrown over the platform. Miriella announces that there are 60 seconds left, so to make it more challenging, she increases the gravity force. The gravity field becomes heavier, and Ronnie complains about how she can't do it anymore. Leon expresses she can't move, and one of the bugs comes over, throwing them out of the platform. The bugs proceed to throw more students out of the platform. There's only one remaining, Inglise, who is surrounded by the mechanized bugs. They charge at her, but she jumps, causing them to clash heads. She then kicks them away and becomes the winner, shocking Principal Miriella. The students are amazed by Inglise's strength, wondering who she is and complimenting her beauty. Miriella is fascinated by Inglise too. Miriella then takes everyone to another open field. She tells them that this time they will be given a special recommendation test. She calls Ronnie, Lyslot, Leon, and Pullum and announces to them that they are the recommended students for the night course. Then she calls Inglise, announcing she's the recommended student for the Squire course. The test she will be giving them will be simple. She will send them somewhere, and they must make it back before the time limit. Inglise asks where, and Miriella explains it's another dimension created by her artifact, called the Labyrinth of Ordeals. With an evil smile, she explains that it will test not only their strength but also their minds. With that said, she taps her staff onto the ground, and multiple doors appear. She tells them to choose a door and enter it, and behind each door, a trial appropriate to them awaits. Each of the girls stands in front of a door, and Miriella starts the time, signaling the test has started. Inglise enters the door, and it's dark at first. Then streams of red light appear, brightening the area. A magicite beast appears, but as she prepares to attack it, it disappears. She turns to her left and sees a cloaked man and a girl in front of him holding a staff. Suddenly, 2 magicite beasts appear, a mysterious female one and Raul. To her right, she sees Eris and Leon. They are all illusions of opponents she's battled before. With a smile, she expresses that this is perfect for her training. But when she tries to go after them, they disappear. Suddenly, she hears Ronnie calling her. She turns to see a 5-year-old Ronnie and a 13-year-old Raphael. She approaches them, and she sees her parents on the other side. She begins to wonder if these are memories of her childhood. She concludes she's just reliving some memories and decides to advance. The magicite beast she defeated when she was a baby appears, but disappears almost immediately. Inglise keeps moving forward, wondering if these memories are meant to reach her childhood memories. She sees the subordinates from her past lives that surrounded her sickbed. They disappear, and before she can move on, she hears a familiar voice calling her Your Majesty. She turns to see the person who greets her, saying it's been a while. The person addresses him as Randall, his previous life successor. Inglise asks him why the world became a place of people looking down on others after her death. Instead, Randall pulls out his sword, and Inglise realizes he can't answer her question. Randall charges at her, but she dodges all his attacks with speed. She uses her fingers to catch the sword between them. Inglise realizes that if she keeps moving ahead, the goddess Alistia will surely appear. She mentions that although Miriella had mentioned the test is supposed to test her mind, she doesn't like how it's been going at all. She kicks Randall into nothingness and decides to get out. She points her arms upwards and fires an ether strike, which shatters layers of glass above her. Lyslot pops her head over the hole to see what the ducking hell just happened. Inglise realizes that all the dimensions are linked together. Lyslot asks if she's responsible for holes, and Inglise affirms it, saying she doesn't feel like advancing through it anymore. She then jumps into Lyslot's dimension and asks if they can leave together. Lyslot uses her artifact to summon wings on her back. With it, she flies to the next dimension while carrying Inglise. They pick up Leon and emerge from one of the doors. The students cheer for the 3 of them, while Principal Miriella congratulates them for passing. At that moment, Ronnie emerges from another door. She also passes. Miriella takes them to her office and informs them that the new Highland ambassador would like to invite Ronnie and Inglise to his inauguration. Days later, Leon and Lyslot are waiting for Ronnie to get Inglise ready. They are both stunned to see Inglise in her dress, which Lyslot comments suits her. They arrive at the inauguration hall, where Raphael tells them to eat whatever they want from the food table. They are about to dig in when a magic circle appears in the ceiling. Many magicite beasts jump down from it, causing panic in the hall. Raphael cuts one of the beasts. Inglise eliminates them by just piercing their heads with her Aether Strike. More magicite beasts keep coming, but Inglise easily ends them with her Aether Strike. The other girls couldn't even fight, as Inglise eliminated them all by herself. They aren't even bothered about it, since Inglise had fun fighting, and all the beasts are eliminated. The next day, a guy named Theodore gives Leon a special artifact sword. Muriella shares with everyone that, during the massive magicite beast attack, she considered jumping to another dimension instead of creating a protective shield. So, she asked Theodore to make this. Theodore says the sword can send people to another dimension, and based on their magic powers, Leon will be the best at using it. Leon decides to try it out. She concentrates, and the sword starts to glow. Suddenly, the whole room turns dark, and they're in a place that looks like the labyrinth of ordeals. Inglise turns to Ripple and says it's time to fight. She tries to punch Ripple, but Ripple is quick and punches back. Inglise keeps punching, but Ripple dodges easily. Then, Ripple decides to use a gun instead of punching. She points it at Inglise and says this is her artifact. Inglise dodges all the bullets and makes an ice sword with her magic to block Ripple's attacks. Inglise is thinking hard about how to get close to Ripple so she can punch back. Inglise figures out that Ripple is good at keeping distance, but she's determined to win. She plans to take just a few more steps to get close to Ripple. But then, Ripple surprises her by summoning another gun. She shoots at Inglise, and even though Inglise dodges most of the bullets, one of them scrapes her shirt. Inglise keeps blocking the bullets too. She thinks about waiting for Ripple to run out of bullets, but then she realizes her stamina might run out first. Inglise notices that Ripple isn't moving around much this time. She figures it's because she's been fighting in Ripple's space, so she decides to stand sideways to make herself a smaller target. Just as she thought, the bullets follow a single path. Inglise deflects them back to Ripple, surprising her. Ripple tries to shoot the bullets, but she can only block two, and the third one she must avoid. Inglise now she has Ripple right where she wants her. Inglise runs towards her and attacks, sending her flying. Luckily, Muriella catches her and prevents her from flying too far. Ripple compliments Inglise on her smart tactics. She thanks Muriella for catching her, but Muriella says she didn't do anything. She tried to make a barrier to shield them from Ripple's fall, but when Ripple hit the barrier, it disappeared as if it was being drained away. Inglise wants to keep fighting, but Theodore wants to test if Ripple is the one absorbing the mana. He asks Lyslot to summon her wings. He then tells Ripple to touch the wings, but nothing happens. He then asks Muriella to use Lyslot's artifact. Muriella summons the wings for herself, but when Ripple touches them, the wings vanish, with Ripple absorbing the mana from them. Muriella explains that Ripple, being a Hyrule menace, can only get power from a special class rune of a holy knight. Theodore adds that Ripple's ability to transform into a weapon has gone wonky, and it's absorbing mana on its own. When enough mana builds up, it will summon a magicite beast. Suddenly, Ripple collapses to the ground, and a barrier forms around her. She apologizes to Inglise, asking her to take care of the others. Inglise and Ronnie are shocked. Leon adds that she's already reaching her limit. The dimension fades away, bringing them back to the office. Just then, a massive magicite beast bursts through the walls of the building. Inglise quickly warns Ronnie to stay safe as the magicite beast is about to unleash an energy surge from its mouth. However, Inglise activates her Aether Shell, goes under the jaw of the beast, and kicks it, stopping the attack and sending the beast flying. The ladies then rush to warn another student, Yua, who's walking in the field of the falling beast. However, Yua slices the falling beast in half with her bare hands. She then just walks away as if it were just another day. Ronnie is amazed at Yua's power, while Inglise reflects on the difference in their abilities. Though Inglise hurt the beast with her kick, Yua effortlessly eliminated it with a single chop. She gets excited for a potentially formidable opponent in Yua. They return to check on the unconscious Ripple. Still, Ronnie wonders if another magicite beast will appear. Theodore denies it, explaining that Ripple only summons magicite beasts when she absorbs mana from a special class rune bearer. Inglise adds that won't happen again until Ripple's mana fills up. Leon asks why the magicite beasts are usually former beastkins. Theodore thinks it might be because Ripple is a beastkin. Muriella mentions that beastkin have a superior sixth sense, allowing them to use telepathy. So, Ripple can call other beastkins through this connection. Theodore explains that creating a beastkin Hyrule menace may be why the Highlanders made Ripple. Ronnie pities Ripple, realizing she was created for this purpose. Theodore clarifies that Highlanders don't see lower land people as equals, which led to the creation of Hyrule menaces like Ripple. Ripple wakes up and reveals this is a good opportunity to put her kin, who have turned into Magicite beasts, to rest. Ronnie assures Ripple that they won't let the Magicite beasts hurt anyone. Ripple expresses her gratitude for their support. As a result, Miriella asks Theodore to create a new artifact for Ronnie. She says it's like Ronnie's shiny flow bow, but with 2 gifts. Miriella reveals the second gift can heal wounds. Ronnie and Inglise are surprised because they didn't know things like that existed. Miriella says they're rare and special, and that's why Theodore wanted Ronnie to have them. He also left a message for Ronnie to take good care of Ripple. Ronnie promises to protect everyone and Ripple. Suddenly, they hear a loud noise and see smoke outside. They run to check and find older students trying to put out a fire. There's a Magicite beast on the ground. Miriella asks what happened, and a student explains that Ripple's powers went crazy again. They sent the creature to another dimension, but some people got hurt. Then they notice Silva, the student who fought the beast. He's hurt and asks them to take Ripple away. Miriella says it's okay, and the important thing is that Silva gets cured. With her new artifact, Ronnie decides to give it a try and heal Silva's wounds. Inglise cheers her on, saying she believes Ronnie can use the artifact. Ronnie takes a deep breath and activates the artifact. She channels the power through her body, making her hands glow. She then places them on Silva, and after a while, his wounds start to heal. But the healing isn't finished. Inglise can tell it requires a huge amount of mana, so she offers to help. Inglise knows replicating the healing power might be hard, but she tries to match her mana with Ronnie's. With Inglise's help, Ronnie completes the healing process. Miriella thanks them both and asks others to take Silva to the infirmary so he can rest. The next day, Inglise and Ronnie go to Miriella's office for their turn to guard Ripple. Inglise asks why Miriella seems upset, and she explains that the Royal Guard plans to guard Ripple from now on. She reveals they want to take Ripple back to Highland and create a new Hyrule menace. Ronnie disagrees, saying just because Ripple is unwell doesn't mean they can treat her like an object. Miriella assures them that the Academy will keep hiding Ripple. Ripple worries that confronting the Royal Guard might get everyone in trouble. However, Miriella reassures her that it's their choice to protect her. Ronnie and Inglise agree, telling Ripple to let them protect her. Later that day, Lyslot and Leon find themselves on guard duty in the rain. Leon notices Lyslot looking uneasy and asks what's wrong. Lyslot just mentions it's a bad time, and Leon agrees because they're on guard duty in the rain. Suddenly, a Magicite beast sneaks up on them from behind. Leon goes to attack, but the creature is struck by a lightning beast. When the smoke clears, Leon recognizes the lightning beast as her brother's artifact. She and Lyslot decide to chase into an underground passageway. While exploring the place, they find Leon waiting for them. Leon is shocked, but Leon is not the only one there. Sischa, a Hyrule menace like Eris, and Black Mask, the leader of the Steelblood Front, are also present. Leon starts fighting with Leon, talking about how she fights for the people left in Alaman despite losing their parents. She won't forgive him for what he's done, but Leon blocks her sword attack. He asks her to listen to Black Mask. The Black Mask reveals their plan to attack and take down the Highland ambassador. Their only enemies are the Highlanders who oppress the lower lands. Before leaving, the Black Mask tells her to take advantage of their attack if they want to do something. Leon gets disappointed and tells Lyslot that they should go back. They inform everyone about Black Mask's plan, adding one more problem to the fact they must deal with the Royal Guards. Silva says they must do something about it. Inglise steps up with an idea. Miriella thinks it's good, but Silva calls it reckless. Ronnie supports Inglise, mentioning that she always has a daring and absurd approach to things. Despite the different opinions, they all trust Inglise and decide to go with her plan. Miriella adds that she will make the first move. 4 days later, Inglise and Ronnie are dressed in maid outfits, confusing Silva. Miriella explains they will infiltrate the palace as part-timers. Inglise adds that she will beat the Steelblood Front when they come to attack. Silva warns them not to get carried away and to focus on protecting His Majesty and the Highland ambassador. The next night, they successfully infiltrate the party, pushing around a food trolley. The party is in full swing, and King Carlias makes his entrance. As the people greet him, Inglise and Ronnie notice the king has a special classroom. Ronnie thinks protecting him will be easy because he must be strong, but Inglise disagrees. She explains that if the king takes his duties seriously, he won't have time for training and may not know how to use his rune. The Highland ambassador is a kid named Ivel, but also an archlord in Highland. Ivel is supposed to bring a Hyrule menace to make their country better, but Ivel doesn't seem impressed. The king says something about exchanging Ripple, but Ivel starts laughing. He thinks they're giving away something defective for a peaceful city and calls them foolish. The king joins in the laughter, saying he's a fool too, but he's grateful for Highland's help. Suddenly, a beast busts into the hall and starts causing chaos in the hall. Ronnie turns to Inglise, telling her they need to get ready, but Inglise is already fighting the beast. The knights are amazed and ask who she is. Inglise just says she's a maid who keeps things clean, and now she's cleaning up these magicite beasts. Ronnie gets ready with her bow, and just when Inglise tells her to finish off the remaining magicite beast, a magicite beast almost attacks her from behind. Ivel shoots it down with a mysterious dark light. Inglise is amazed and wonders what kind of attack that was. The knights are circling the hall to make sure no more trouble comes in. Suddenly, one sneaky knight tries to stab Ivel with a dagger, but Inglise steps in and stops the attack. Ivel isn't bothered. He tells Inglise to not stop the knight because the knight is just a small fry that he could have handled by himself. Inglise apologizes with a smile, and Ivel says it's okay. Ivel then brings out the dark light from his finger and uses it on the knight's face, tearing it in half. Everyone's shocked, but Inglise is just curious. Ronnie rushes over, worried about Inglise. Ivel compliments Inglise's bravery, but Ronnie isn't happy about how Ivel dealt with the knight. She says it's bad taste, but Ivel fires back, saying it's worse taste to invite him and almost get him killed. The king starts begging, saying it wasn't the country's plan to attack Ivel. He blames the Steelblood Front, but Ivel isn't buying it. He tells the king that if it's the Steelblood Front, then the king messed up by letting a Highland ambassador get attacked. The king bows down, asking for forgiveness and saying he'll accept any punishment. Ivel says sorry is only fair when both sides are equal. He claims there's a huge difference between a Highlander and a king, because the king nothing more than a leader of lower landers, just a herd of livestock. Ivel then uses his powers and cuts off one of the king's arms as the right, as his way of saying sorry. Inglise and Ronnie rush to the king's side, grabbing the severed arm and heal it back with Ronnie's gift. Ivel asks what they're up to, and Inglise explains they're fixing the king's arm. Ivel says he's cool with it, but in return, he'll take another person's arm, just for fun. The king says he doesn't need any treatment then, but Inglise stands up and offers her arms. She wants to experience Ivel's power. Ivel mentions that a runeless person's arm like hers won't be useful to him, but it'll be worth it to see her cry in pain. Inglise walks up to him calmly and figures out that his power has different wavelengths mixed. Ivel activates his power to cut her arm off, but nothing happens. The knights are puzzled, wondering why it didn't work on her. Inglise is a bit worried because she wants to hide her true strength from Ivel, but her ether shell activates on its own. She's impressed by Ivel's power but sad that he tore her favorite maid uniform. Meanwhile, Ivel is too shocked to say anything. Inglise gets right up close to him, praising his skill, and this makes Ivel furious. He tries to unleash his attack with both hands, but none can get through. People around are starting to wonder if Ivel is as powerful as they thought. Watching Ivel's power, Inglise thinks it's not just normal mana but something even stronger. Ivel gets frustrated and steps back. He tells Inglise that his power is called Mana Refine and someone from the lower lands like her shouldn't be able to block it. But Inglise tells Ivel that if he keeps improving, his power might catch up with Aetha. Ivel is confused and asks Inglise who she is. He tries a bigger attack, but it still does nothing to Inglise. She replies with a grin, saying she's just a maid bullying a kid. Ivel gets annoyed and tries to stab her heart, but once more, his power does nothing. Inglise grabs Ivel's arm and pulls it away, causing him pain. She playfully apologizes and tells him to go ahead and try to cut off her hand. Ivel demands she reveal her true identity, insisting she can't just be a maid. Inglise teases back, saying she's just a part-time maid earning money to eat. Ivel, realizing Inglise won't give a straight answer, orders her to show her powers and attack him. Inglise teases him again, reminding him that he was the one who wanted her arm in exchange for the king's. Ivel says he doesn't care about that anymore and tells her to strike him. Inglise says she'd be interested in a fight, but the king interrupts. He tells her not to lay a hand on the Highland ambassador, even if Ivel requests it. Ivel calls the king foolish, boasting that as an archlord, he didn't come to offer a Hyrule menace or improve relations. Instead, he warns that his leader is angry, and soon the king's country will be wiped out. The king asks why he's there. Ivel smiles wickedly, and there's a rumbling outside. A battleship is revealed, about to attack the palace. Inglise thinks it might be the Steelblood Front's battleship, but Ivel laughs, saying the trap has been set. He explains that the Steelblood Front, an anti-Highlander organization, has been causing issues. So, the Highlanders used a false ceremony like this, and he, as an archlord, came over. The king realizes the Highlanders already knew about the Steelblood front. This ceremony was all a lie. Their real objective was to lure out the Steelblood front and crush them. Outside, the Kingdom Knights are attacking the Steelblood front's battleship. The knights inside question Ivel about why the king was mistreated. Ivel casually says there's no reason, they're just useless. The knights surround Ivel to take him down. Inglyes jumps in with a smile, stating that Ivel is the bad guy who betrayed the king and even cut off his arm. Ivel agrees and Inglyes turns to the king, asking for permission to strike down this criminal. The king says not to kill Ivel but to capture him alive. Inglyes turns back to Ivel, saying they can fight now since the circumstances have changed. Ivel is excited about the fight, promising to end it quickly because he has things to do. Inglyes activates her Aether shield and starts using Aether. Ivel watches as magic surrounds Inglyes, wondering what it is because he hasn't felt it before. So, he puts up a barrier around himself and tells Inglyes to come at him, teasing her not to be shy. Inglyes explains that Ivel's magic can make things disappear. Ivel is shocked that she knows about his barrier and wonders if she can see it. Inglyes reveals that she knows Ivel created the magic around himself, but she tells him to focus all his power at one point because that's where she will attack. Ivel laughs, saying he's not dumb enough to follow her advice. He thinks if he does what she says, she'll just attack somewhere else. But Inglyes tells him she could have done that already if she wanted to. She urges him to stop acting like a wimp. This makes him mad, and he reluctantly follows her advice, concentrating all his power at one point. Ivel challenges Inglyes, telling her to come at him and not be a coward. Inglyes charges at him, and with a kick powered by Aether, she destroys his barrier. Then, she follows it up with another kick that sends Ivel flying outside the castle. She realizes she messed up. She grabs Ronnie and leaves the castle to face the chaos outside. She uses the flying motorbikes like stairs, leaping onto them to reach a higher wall. This gives her a closer view of the Steelblood front's battleship. She unleashes an Aether strike toward it, but to her surprise, another Aether strike deflects and cancels out her attack. The unexpected defender is Black Mask. Inglyes realizes that Leon and Sischa aren't on the battleship. She greets them, saying her attack was just a friendly hello, and she's ready to go all out. Black Mask decides to face her and jumps down to meet her. He praises her boldness and asks where the Highland ambassador is. Inglyes says she has no idea. Black Mask acknowledges that she's strong. Inglyes isn't completely sure, but she's ready to test how strong she is. They both power themselves up with Aether and start going at it, clashing, throwing punches and kicks at each other. Inglyes notices Black Mask's tremendous strength from their exchange. Meanwhile, Ronnie uses her bow to bring down the battleship. Inglyes tries to punch Black Mask, but he dodges it and attempts to grab her from behind. She manages to dodge him and lands a kick on his face. Black Mask tells her he's not done yet, and she challenges him to give his best shot. Suddenly, Inglyes senses a different flow of Aether, unlike the usual Aether shell. Black Mask unleashes a long-range attack, forcing Inglyes to jump back to avoid being hit. She realizes it's an Aether sword. Inglyes knows that Black Mask condensed his Aether and turned it into an Aether sword. She thinks she can do that too, but she also realizes that Black Mask is wrapping his body with the Aether shell, something she can't do. Black Mask charges at Inglyes. Inglyes can't block his Aether sword, so she focuses on dodging all his attacks. She tries to figure out how to close the distance and reach him. Even with her Aether shell, getting hit by the Aether sword could seriously hurt her. Nevertheless, she decides to bring out her own Aether sword to block Black Mask's attacks. He taunts her, saying her weak sword can't cut his. But that's not her plan. She wants to slow his attacks so she can reach him. Black Mask manages to shatter her sword, but she seizes that moment to push him away. She uses this chance to launch an Aether strike. He's trying to compose himself, but he still manages to block her attack. Black Mask realizes things are getting out of his control. Suddenly, Ronnie flies towards them on a motorbike and warns Inglyes to be careful as something is coming. In the next moment, Ivel lands from the sky. Inglyes is like, "Oh great, you're safe, whatever." Ivel turns to Black Mask and says he's going to crush him and punish his comrades. Just then, Sischa appears on a motorcycle. Black Mask asks for her power. She says yes and starts changing, giving her power to Black Mask. Inglyes is super excited to see a Hyrule Menace transformation. Ivel tries to stop it, but a bright light stops him. When it clears, Black Mask is holding Sischa's weapon form, a rainbow-like spear. Black Mask gets ready to attack and Ivel sets up a barrier. He brags that the spear will vanish if it touches it. but Black Mask goes right through the barrier and touches Ival's shoulder. Suddenly, that body part disappears. Black Mask uses the spear to wipe out Ival's whole body, finishing him by his face. Ronnie gets scared to see this and asks Inglise what she's going to do. Yet, Inglise is rational and decides to leave. Meanwhile, Silva runs towards Miriella and the other students. He reveals the knights who were supposed to take Ripple away returned to the castle. Miriella sees an opportunity and signals Leon to start the plan. Leon uses her sword to open a different dimension. Inside, they decide to let Ripple absorb their power to summon Magicite beasts. Ripple absorbs Silva and Miriella's power, and she wishes them luck before collapsing. Silva instructs the others to form a circle around Ripple. The Magicite beasts start appearing one by one, and the students take them out. Lyslot suddenly loses her wings and is about to be attacked, but Leon comes to her rescue. More beasts start appearing, but Leon reaches her limit. The dimension disappears and they return to the real world. The Magicite beasts get close when suddenly, lightning beasts appear and destroy the Magicite ones. Leon reveals himself, saying there's a lot to talk about, but for now, he'll help them. He tosses a ball into their midst and it starts dispelling. He explains it's mana mist, which will help them recover their mana. Leon asks Leon to put them back in the dimension, which she does. Then, along with Miriella and Silva, they start filling Ripple with mana. The dimension explodes, knocking several people out, and Ripple summons a gigantic Magicite beast. Everyone gets prepared to battle the colossal Magicite beast called a Prismer. Miriella instructs Leon and Lyslot to evacuate the unconscious while Leon charges his artifact for the battle. Miriella tells Yua to keep the Prismer busy while she sets up a barrier over the school. Yua complains it's scary, but Miriella scolds her to get to work. Yua tiptoes toward the Prismer, thinking it doesn't see her, but it's watching her every move. The Prismer starts attacking, and Yua runs for her life. Leon charges enough to launch an attack on the Prismer. Yua follows with a punch that Leon compliments, saying it's almost like Inglise's punch. However, Yua realizes something is wrong as her punch has no effect. Suddenly, she starts sinking, getting sucked into the Prismer's body. Miriella quickly uses a protective wall to shield her while she's inside the beast. Leon charges his artifact for another lightning strike, but the Prismer releases a heat ray toward Lyslot and Leon, who are escorting unconscious students. Luckily, Leon reaches them in time, blocking the rays with his artifact. The blast shatters Leon's artifact, and Leon, worried for him, asks if he's okay. He assures her he's fine but now has no artifact to fight with. Yua is already inside the Prismer, but Miriella tells them not to worry, explaining that her barrier is preventing Yua from being absorbed. She then asks Silva about Ripple's condition. He explains she's not absorbing his mana anymore, so this must be the last Magicite beast they need to defeat. Silva wonders if Ripple will wake up soon to help them, but Leon tells him Ripple won't be in good shape to use her full power. Miriella adds that the Prismer hasn't reached its full form, so they need to stop it before it can. The Prismer is already preparing another heat blast. Miriella orders Leon to take the others into the other dimension, leaving her behind. She reassures them that she'll figure something out on her own. Leon opens the other dimension. Miriella tells Leon to shield himself, but he insists not to worry. They both prepare to stop the Prismer's attack, but it's not enough. Fortunately, Inglise arrives and kicks the Prismer into the air. However, it doesn't go far, and the Prismer starts falling back down, ready to fire another shot at Inglise. Inglise gets ready, but the heat rays split into many forms, heading towards the city. Inglise uses her insane speed to punch all the heat rays away from the city. Even those below can't see her movements. The two land and Inglise is super excited to face the Prismer, something she always wanted. Miriella scolds her, saying to stay focused. She shows Inglise a bright light in the Prismer's body, revealing it's Yua inside, and tells her to be careful. Inglise runs toward the Prismer, planning to concentrate her attacks around Yua to get her out. The Prismer starts throwing fast punches at Inglise. She dodges them, but she knows just dodging won't help, so she decides to stop one of its fists. The fist is heavy and she has to put in all her strength, but she's excited. Suddenly, the two monsters start a super speed fist battle. However, even though she's blocking the hits, there's no room for her to get closer. Then, she leaps into the air and shoots an Aether Pierce at the Prismer, but the Prismer deflects it away. She another Aether Strike, but the Prismer dodges it again. Miriella tells her to hurry because the light of Yua's protective wall is dimming, and she'll be absorbed if they don't save her soon. Inglise has a technique in mind to try that might save Yua, but she needs to get closer to the Prismer to use it. Suddenly, Ronnie shoots her arrow into the sky, and it splits into multiple arrows, raining down on the Prismer, who blocks them. Lyslot and Leon also join in by thrusting their weapons at the beast. The girls work together, distracting the prisoner with their attacks while Inglise closes the distance. Inglise kicks the prisoner, sending it into the air, and then follows with an Aether strike. She's confident the prisoner cannot dodge it mid-air. Ronnie encourages Inglise to give her best and blast the prisoner away, but Inglise says the opposite. She motivates the prisoner to hold on and endure the attack, shocking everyone. Inglise jumps up to close the distance and hits it with her Aether breaker, causing its body to shatter and explode. The group is relieved they managed to defeat the prisoner, but wonders where Inglise is. She then appears before them with Yua in her arms. The group runs to congratulate her on her victory. Leon takes this chance to leave. Leon spots him, but they simply smile at each other. Several days later, the king expresses his gratitude to Ronnie and Inglise for taking care of him. He mentions that Inglise was able to deal with Ivel and drive out the Steelblood front. Therefore, he wants her to become his new commander of the Royal Guard, surprising both Inglise and Ronnie. The guards start clapping, ready to show their respect to their new commander. However, Inglise stands up and refuses the offer. Watch this next video. See you on the next one.